So you cannot sleep on the Japanese for a moment. Oh man. So just after I finished talking about the Energon armor and the whole spread of it that came from the MCM London Comic Con and what we were getting, the certain characters, Optimus, Bumblebee, Hot Rod, Clobber making her toy debut, Shockwave, it seems that we have another one to add to it, but another important one in this case of Transformer history. Now, it is that of Rack and Ruin. Now, this is like, there's a very short list now of Transformer characters that have yet to get toys. Like, it felt like, 19 years ago, we're talking, oh man, can't wait to get my Unicron toy. And now we've gotten practically everyone that could practically be made from past to present. We got our Alpha Trions finally. We got our, Alita 1 and her crew. Everyone is finally getting some kind of good interpretation of that character. And Rack and Rune was one of those characters that a lot of people who were just kind of USA fictional, I guess, consumers weren't aware of. But if you were a Marvel UK comic book reader, these were characters that were present in the Wreckers and the Marvel UK stories. These were Simon Furman characters. And obviously, throughout the years, they've had different interpretations in the G1 universe. Obviously, the Simon Furman one was something of like, oh, this is a character that, was always fused together and we don't really know its history. And there was a little supplemental book that said, they both turned into jets at one point. And then when they did the regeneration books, they kind of retconned a little bit their supposed death and kept them alive just long enough to die again because it's Simon Furman. And then when IDW ran with it, they kind of changed their own origin and did a very clever, these were two separate bots. Wouldn't it be, that hate each other? Wouldn't it be ironic if they were fused together in the future? And, we had the Last Stand of the Wreckers stuff and everything with Nick Roche. So that being said, nice to see this character in Cyberverse. For anyone who's watched Season 1 and Season 2, he's been primarily there, although instead of being a middleman kind of Transformer character, the Wreckers being kind of a side faction, if anything, he's a straight-up Autobot on the crew, and as a result of him being primarily in the show a good bunch, he gets a toy. And so it seems here the Japanese have done a listing here, and he's going to be part of that Energon armor kind of assortment. It looks like it's going to be the Ultra class that are going to be planned for 2020, at least again according to this listing. And in this case, we have an alt mode, and it's not a jet like the original proposed Marvel comic was back in the day. Now, granted, we never really saw an alt mode at any point, at any time in any fiction. It was just something that was always like, yeah, that's kind of what they turned into, and we never really got to see it. So this one, we got Rack and Ruin, and they turn into a tank, and they have the Energon armor. Now, unfortunately, this image, because it's like a Japanese catalog image, it is kind of limited. We can't see a lot, but I'm pretty sure there will be a high-res scan down the line, and we'll get a better look at it. I'm real, with all the other Energon armors, I was able to look at the armor and pick out the little fine details that they're trying to do here. Unfortunately, guys, at the moment, I can't do that because it's just too blurry. But again, hey, Rack and Ruin figure, ultra scale, not too out of scale. He's kind of always been a larger character with the way he was depicted. So pretty cool. That's awesome to get some kind of version of that character. Kind of a shame that it's in that more simplistic ultra class scale with this Energon armor gimmick that we have right now wave across for 2020. But that being said, it's not a big deal because at least we got that character. Also, I just might as well worth mentioning in this same listing, also the deluxe scale. So we had that deluxe assortment. We first knew about Optimus and Bumblebee and Megatron and Shockwave at New York Comic Con. Then we found out about Hot Rod being added to that assortment and getting also that deluxe class scale, which again, for people who don't know, Cyberverse is now going to have a deluxe class on top of the Warrior class, which is the deluxe class will be the much more paint accurate, articulated, more show accurate, the collector version, if you will, the one that we really wanted of representations of these characters. So we had Hot Rod revealed, and through this assortment, we have in a gray prototype resin slash, plastisol version here, we have what looks like now a Dinobot, aka Grimlock, is going to be getting one also. And judging by his price point, he will also be of the deluxe assortment. It's going to be 2,500 yen. So he's also going to be that same scale. So we got a good scale here too. So we got 6 now. 6 of the proposed 8 that are to come. Who are those last 2? We shall find out. Who do you want? Who will it be? Could it be RC? Could it be Blur? We will find out soon enough. But so that's another little piece of that. So Rack and Rune and Grimlock, hopefully we'll get some better photos of Rack and Rune. Maybe I'll post them on my Twitter when we get a little update on that. And we'll post it down and get a better idea of what that armor looks like. Because every one of them seems to have some kind of little Easter egg, or just it looks like they're pulling from something. So I'm really curious what they're doing with this guy, because he doesn't have a big history. He's one of those, obscure characters from UK lore, but it's always something that's a blank slate that if you want to put a weird armor on him, you could kind of do anything. So we'll see what happens. And it'll be pretty cool to finally get a representation of this character on our shelving.